everybody, or actually good morning. I'd like to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to attend this webinar. I understand it's the end of the year and things could be hectic, but again, thank you very much. And thank you, Craig, with Multiple Measures for doing this webinar too. It's a wonderful product that you're probably going to want to bring to your district. And during this webinar, if you have any questions that you would like me to forward on to Craig, I'd be happy to do so. Make sure you use the question box and instant message them directly to me, and at the end of the webinar, I'll forward them on to Craig. Okay, Craig, I'd like to give you the floor.
Hi, Shelley. We're probably, I think only my staff is in here right now. I don't think we have any other attendees yet. So maybe we should restart this. I think, yeah. As far as I know, the attendee list that you show there, you show Beth, Matt, and Rita, right? Is that correct, Shelley?
So, Craig, you'd want to go ahead and start your webinar, allowing people to view this recording if they're unable to log in at this time since it is the end of the school year. So if you'd like to go ahead, that'd be wonderful.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Shelley. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Thank you very much for attending our webinar on Mars. And we're hopeful that we can give you a lot of information about our assessment reporting system and get you set up, particularly so that you can do your smarter balanced reporting here coming up. It's our understanding that several districts have received their smarter balanced preliminary data so far, and depending on when you tested, that data should be to you either already or should be coming up here in the next couple of weeks. We want to be clear that we not only report your smarter balance data, but we also have the ability to report your CST science data, your physical fitness data, any test that you use for periodic or benchmark assessments, NWEA, Study Island, Renaissance, iReady, whatever you use, we have the ability to report it using a common data warehouse where we keep all of that assessment data. To be clear, we are not an assessment company. We don't create assessments, we don't score assessments, we don't scan assessments. We are purely a reporting system. Our purpose is visualization of the data. So we're going to take your data, whatever that source of data is, whether it's a district test, a publisher benchmark, or a state high-stakes test, we're going to go ahead and take that data and give you a consistent and informative view of those data. What our plan here is today is to go through and show you a little bit of the inner workings of Mars and how Mars displays your information in a variety of different formats and gives you that information that helps you deliver those reports, both summary, pupil, and subgroup reports, to various audiences in your district, which would include district evaluators, it would include site administrators, it would include teachers, and we also have reports that are suitable for the media or your school board, high-level reports to give them a lot of information. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and flip back and forth between a few different screens. And so here's our, if you look on your little sidebar, you'll see that you have the ability, a little bar that says Handouts 3. And I want to encourage you to expand the little button. You should see that there's 3 handouts there. And there's a couple that I'd encourage you to download them all. But if you would take the one that says Mars Webinar, Mars is 2016, you might want to download that right now and pull that up in a different window on your screen, and that way you can kind of follow through. There's a few pages of information, and I will show you on my screen exactly what that looks like, and you can follow along. I'm not going to be just up here reading the slides to you as are done in certain presentations, so it's a little bit more loose, and we're going to do a live presentation of Mars on the internet. And so if you want to open up this presentation, the Mars process is really where we're going to start, which is page 13 in the Mars Is document. So I'm not going to keep this up on my screen because I'm going to actually be showing you how the software works. but if you pull this up on your screen, it'll help you follow along and anticipate just a bit about exactly what we're going to show you. We also want to encourage you to ask questions if you'd like. Shelley will be receiving those questions and she will forward them to me or read them aloud at the end of the presentation. We should have a little bit of time to go through this and answer some questions. I encourage you to ask if you've got them. If we've got time, we'll get to your questions and answer them for the group. And certainly after the webinar is over, you're welcome to contact us directly and get us your information and ask your question, and we'll take care of it personally. At the very end of the document is a contact page. So we've got both our website and our email addresses and our telephone number. We're happy to talk to you any way you want. As well, at our website, we've got a live chat button, and that works during business hours as well. We'd love to be able to help you and answer all of your questions. Again, we've got data visualization, and we're going to go ahead and move forward from here. So what I'm going to do first is show you and we'll go ahead and back to here. And our website is www.k12multiplemeasures.com, and this is the screen that you're going to see. It's just a landing page, gives you just a big blue screen, tells you in a couple of words what our software does. Enter the site, and we're going to review this real quickly and go through here and then actually go into the software. From our website, we've got a couple of resources for you. Our homepage, you can read it when you've got a chance. Notice we've got a live chat button that's right there. You can also sign up for our mailing list and get a little bit of information each time we publish information for our audience. A couple of the links that are most valuable at our website are under the reports gallery. We've got a whole library of Smarter Balanced report examples and NWA report examples. We can also send that to you as a PDF file. The PDF files for the collection of reports were a little bit too large to attach to this webinar, so please ask if you'd like a full PDF matches here. I'm going to go ahead and click in here and show you essentially what it looks like, and provides us here a gallery. And we'll scroll down. Here's your gallery, and you've got thumbnails of about 40 different Smarter Balanced reports. To explain the gallery just a little bit, we've taken the report and put it in the lower right-hand corner, and we've given you some context information which describes the report a little bit and then gives you a snapshot of the interface, the actual Mars interface, what choices are made on the screen to get that particular report. So you can see you've got thumbnails, and you can page through a variety of different reports. If you'd rather have this in a PDF format, please let us know. We're happy to get that to you. And we can post that on our website or send it directly to you with this full list of reports, with the annotations about what the reports do and the screen captures to show you. Also back at our website, we've got links for video training to be able to go and learn a little bit about how the software actually works, which is kind of what we're going to show you here today. But you can go back at any time and get that right there. Ordering information, how to get a free trial. We'd be happy and love to be able to have the opportunity to work with you and get your data in, and you can see Mars at its best with your own data, and there's no cost, no risk to do that. So we'd love to be able to have that opportunity. We have information to get in touch with us, to ask for a price quote, and very importantly, here we have our privacy policy, and I want to make sure that you guys understand that we are fully compliant with all of the requirements with SOPIPA, FERPA, and COPA, and any of the AB 11584, I believe it is, all of the various different requirements. We ensure that we take your privacy and the privacy of your people very, very seriously, and so we will always do our best to honor that, and you'll see that everything that we do is done via secure and via encryption and via SSL, and so your data is very private with us, and that includes whether you are a customer or whether you're working as a free trial and you're experimenting and exploring with Mars. In all cases, we take great care with your data. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead from our website. We're going to come back here, and right at the top is Share File Login. That is the login where we exchange the secure tool that we use to exchange data with you. And this is not the Mars application. This is not where you actually do the reporting, but it's the tool by which you send us data files securely. We get them up and load them into our database and move forward. So what I'm going to do is go ahead to the Mars login screen, and this is where you actually log into the software. And once you've got an account, whether it's a free trial account or whether it's a fully purchased subscription. And so what I am going to do, I'm going to flip back here to one of our slides and go over stuff before we actually go into the software and talk about the Mars process. So using our ShareFile login, you will receive your data. Either you have your data in a electronic file somewhere on your system, or you've downloaded it. For example, with the state, you're going to download the system. The preliminary results for Smarter Balance come from the ORS, which is the Operations Management System. You'll download the preliminary data there. And once you have those files, you will upload those files to us. And we'll go over that just a little bit. If you're working with another publisher, like NWEA, they have a tool where you can export their combined data file, and we'll take that data file. If you go into Scantron, they have an export. Most major publishers have a tool that lets you export the pupil data. If it's data that you've got together from an inside system, then you'll go ahead and pull that down to an Excel file or a comma-separated file, or if you have district scores that you can export out of your student information system, we can use that. The bottom line is we need the pupil data that you've got in electronic format. You send it securely to us, we mount it to the Mars database, and we do that generally within 24 hours. We tell you it's available, and you're ready to report and start going. We offer a lot of guidance along the way. You can see our videos, you can ask us for help, you can live chat. You've got a variety of different methods to get a hold of us. We also do remote trainings, and if you're in our general area, we can even do on-site trainings if you're close enough and it makes sense for everybody. But the Mars is really easy to use once you've got an introduction, and we'll kind of show you that right now. So I'm going to go ahead and log in to Mars right now using an account that has fictitious data. Like I said, we honor your privacy very well, and so I'm not going to show you anything that has real live pupil data. So this is a fictitious data set. All the names have been changed to protect the innocent, and we're going to move ahead. Once you sign up, you'll have a username and a password that will get you into the system. All users of the system have one of three different roles, either a district evaluator role, which would give you permission to all of the district's data. If your role is a site administrator, you're able to see the data for your school only. And if you're a teacher user, then you have visibility to your students only. So it's all role-based, and we make sure that the data, because we've got access to both pupil data and summary data, we want to make sure that only those authorized or purposefully have access to certain data are looking at their data. So teacher A cannot look at teacher B's report and cannot look at teacher C's report. However, the administrator of that site can see everything from that site. And if the administrator can create another user account for vice principals or counselors or other people that should have school-wide permission, those accounts can be created so those people can see all of the data for a given school. In this case, my login here is the equivalent of a district administrator, so we'll have full visibility to the full set of data for this district. We're going to log in, and in my case, we do have some users that have access to multiple districts. We work with a few offices of education, and we have people at the COE that have access to multiple districts, and so they can log into each particular one. First screen gives you the ability to do some, if you are an administrator, to add, modify, and delete additional users. If you have a lot of users, either teachers or a lot of schools, we do have an electronic method to add those users. They don't necessarily have to be added one at a time, and we can talk about that once you're a customer. We do have some training resources that takes you back to our website. But we're going to go ahead and go to the reporting site. So this is the main Mars screen. I want to explain a little bit about what the main screen is and what the tabs are, and we'll go into detail with each one of them. We have dynamic reporting, which if you're on if you've pulled up the presentation, the Mars is handout, you're probably down there on about page 13 or 15, somewhere down there. There's Mars dynamic reporting. And so I'm going to loosely kind of go through the topics on that. We're going to move through the next 3 pages. Mars dynamic reporting is ad hoc reports. And what we do is choose a test, a roster, whether we want pupil or summary results, what report we want to look at, and then we're going to provide some group information. What school, what teacher, what grade, what subjects we want to see, what years we want to see on the report. So that information, so we're going to go ahead and walk through this database that we're looking at right now has Smarter Balance and SELT data in it. So we're going to look at Smarter Balance data. It's got 2 years, both 2015 and 2016 Smarter Balance data, so we can do some year-over-year comparisons. And that's probably what a lot of you are very interested in at this point in time, so I'm going to give you a little show and tell here. From this box, we're going to go ahead and choose Smarter Balance. You can see I said SELT, but there's also the prior STAR data as well as the CST, CMA, and Kappa Science over the last couple of years is also included here. We'll choose Smarter Balance. Rosters we'll get to a little bit more, but essentially data that you get from the publisher has information with respect to what grade level and what school the student was in when they took the assessment. But often, if you're doing pupil reports, you want to see the students organized by their teachers, either where the teachers that they had when they took the test or the teachers the following fall. So when you have your new class list in 2016-17, you've got your class list together, we can take the data that was accumulated and assessed in the spring, we can reorganize it so that your teachers in the fall can get a list of their incoming students and be able to see the performance, their performance on the test the previous spring. We can also give you an organization of the rosters that shows the teachers where the students were when they took the assessment. We have the ability to run the reports both ways. So per publisher data is just the way it comes out of your file and typically does not have any teacher information or the ability to break the teachers down. Our first few reports that I'm going to show you here, we're going to do it at a school level or a district level, so we don't need the roster at that point in time. The results are either summary results and pupil results, so we're either going to aggregate or we're going to show you the actual pupil data. Again, the pupil data is controlled on a role-based access so that any given user can only see what they should see. We'll do summary results, and then we're going to select a report. And for our summaries, we've got a variety. And while there aren't a lot of reports listed here, the reports that you do see have a lot of options. And we'll get into that just a little bit. What we're going to look at is the Smarter Balanced achievement levels, the claim performance, which is the breakdown into reading, listening, research, and writing, and math. I think we've got concepts and procedures, and I don't know the names of the other claims right off the top of my head. But we'll go to achievement levels, which is the higher level. Did the student meet standard or not? Are they, below, near? Did they meet standard or did they exceed standard? So what we're going to show right now is our new JUX system, and JUX is short for juxtaposition. And what that does is that allows you to take 2 parameters, whether it's, and if you look here, years, terms, grades, schools, teachers, subgroups, and subjects, and it lets you select multiple items in that category and look at it side by side. So you can do side-by-side comparisons of any of these entities right here. Terms are not necessarily appropriate for Smarter Balance because there's only 1 test given per year, but if we were looking at a periodic assessment that was given fall, winter, and spring, terms would be very relevant. If you're looking at your NWEA data, you definitely want to be able to see the comparisons between fall and winter and spring, and you can do that with this tool. We're going to go ahead right now and choose subjects so that we can get multiple subjects on a page, and we'll look at years. So those are the 2 things that we do, and if you see that there's a slight yellow background behind the items that we chose as our JUX compare elements, So subjects and years, and then the choice boxes down below is light background, basically a visual cue to show you that you can select multiple items in that box. And you can drag over the items, or you can select them individually using the control click. So part of this I realize is a little bit beyond presentation level, but I do want to demonstrate how easy Mars is to use. So we're going to select multiple years and multiple subjects, and we'll go ahead and choose all schools and all grades. So this is going to be a district-wide report right now. And you can see that the report returns very, very quickly. And this is live. I'm not running a rehearsed, super speeded up presentation here. This is how the server runs. We are extremely fast. You'll see faster than any other tool you've ever used in terms of bringing you aggregate data and pupil data to your screen. And we'll show you in a little bit on our batch reporting how you can have that delivered via PDF files to a variety of audiences really, really quickly. So what we see here is 2015 versus 2016 side by side for English language arts, and then we also see 15 versus 16 for math. Looks like we had modest gains over the 2 years, and this is a district-wide group. This particular district I'm working with now has about 11,000 students. You may be larger or smaller or in that range. So you can get an idea. The system is slightly faster for a smaller district. You will see even a little bit better performance than you do today. But regardless of the size of your district, and we work with districts less than 100 students, we work with districts over 60,000 students. So this system is very suitable and very fast for all of those audiences. So we've got the report up here, and dynamic reporting, we can change any one of the parameters up here and get a different view instantly. So I'm looking at all grades in all schools. If I want to look at just the grade 3 data, I can choose it right here, and it's going to pull up a grade 3 chart. And you'll notice that in the report here, it shows grade 3 as part of the heading. We are working with Smarter Balanced preliminary data, and CDE has cautioned us to note that these data are preliminary. The final data is out in July or August this summer, and that is what they call the certified data, and they will post at least the high-level reports at DataQuest, and you'll see that. The data typically does not change much, but it is not final, and they do caution about distribution of the preliminary data, and you probably have a better idea after last year how close your preliminary data was to your final data and whether it's suitable for distribution to certain stakeholders within your district. So I'm looking at grade 3 here. I can switch and I can bring up grade 4, bring up grade 5. This district that we're working with right here is a K through 8 district, so you've got your 3 through 8. We don't have 11th grade data in this particular database that I'm working with. So I'm looking, I can choose different grades. I can go back and choose all grades dynamically. Again, I can choose a single school. So I've got an elementary school here, I've got another elementary school here, and it looks like most of these schools have modest gains. So, but now your next question is probably, well, can I see the grade levels compared to each other? So that's a very easy thing to do. If I want to change, if I want to select multiple grades and have them listed side by side, the JUX system allows me to do that. And so if I chose, instead of subjects, if I chose grades, now I've got my light yellow background behind grades, and I can select all of my grades. And again, we're looking at all schools. And I'm going to go ahead for English language literacy. I'm going to see 2 years of data organized for all grades throughout the district. And I've got grade 3 comparison, a grade 4 comparison, grade 5, grade 6, grade 7, and this spills over to grade 8 over here. I can, at this point, let's say I want to make that fit on one page. If I hit the Control and click the All Grades button, I remove one set of the bars, and it's going to redraw, and then it's going to put grades 3 through 8 across the page. So I can see that side by side. Something that we do, if you look in the JUX compare items, there's a little double-edged arrow here at the top, and we affectionately call this our switchy button. It basically takes the same data and it reorients the data. Our primary compare is our grades right now, so we see grade 3, 4, 5 through 8. Our secondary compare is our years, and these are on the x-axis right here. If I want to reverse those, I'm going to hit the switchy button. And so what I see is primary, I see is now, well, I've got my subject here. My primary is my year, and secondary is my grade. So here I'm looking at the grades compared to each other for 2015 and the grades compared to each other for 2016. I'm looking at ELA. I can do the same thing for math by a simple click of a button. I can go back and look at schools side by side. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to go ahead and back and choose all grades. Let me do schools by years. And so now let me do a collection of schools. I'll grab a handful here. And we can see schools by years. Oh, so I don't have both years selected here. So let's select both of the years. And again, this is real time. This is how quickly our system operates. But this is dynamic mode, and we're going to get into the batch reporting mode. This is so that you can look around, you can peruse, you can get an idea of performance, and when you find something that is what you want, you can save that report either to Excel or you can save it to a PDF file. So from this screen right here, I can print and save, and it's going to take me to a standard download screen. And I can go ahead and save that, and I can look at what the PDF output is going to be there. Here we go. So here's the PDF rendering of that particular report. You also can export it to Excel. So if you want to use those data in some other format to be able to use them in a presentation of your own, you can take the underlying data and export it to Excel. We'll go ahead and do that and take a quick peek. And here you go. Here's the underlying data that's beneath that chart right here. And you can see here that since this is a school chart, I've got multiple tabs. So here's for elementary school. Bush, Boltzmann is there. We've got a variety of different sets of data for you to be able to use in whatever external application you want. We're going to start moving a little bit faster because I got a lot to show you, but I hope you get the idea of what the JUX does and allows you to see a lot of things. But I am going to show you one more option, is subgroups, and subgroups versus years, because subgroups are often very important here. We're going to go ahead and do English. We'll go back to all schools just to make it simple. But on the left-hand side, we've got demographic categories, and so we capture the information about your subgroups: language, disability, race, significant subgroups, and significant subgroups includes those economically disadvantaged, limited English, etc. You can look at those side by side just as well. So we can, for example, let's say we want to look at English and math. Let's say subgroups by, we'll do subgroups by subjects. And so we've got two subjects. We'll go ahead and look at a single year, and I can look at this information. I can drag over, and I can see here for 2015-16, I've got my economically disadvantaged, ELA versus math, etc. If I use my switch button, I can look at a little bit better comparison here. So I can look at my economically disadvantaged blank versus yes. I've got my limited English proficiency. So we can line these all up, and you can get all kinds of various different combinations, and subjects is just one of them. You also have the ability to be able to compare teacher groups and information, schools, again, terms for benchmark, interim benchmark tests, to be able to compare your fall, winter, spring. We're not going to have time to get in that today, but we do have sample reports at our gallery for NWEA, which can show you the types of term-based reports that are available. So this is a good thing. I want to show you one more thing before we leave the dynamic reporting screen, and we'll come back to all students. We'll choose a particular subjects versus subgroups. Let's go back to years, multiple years. We'll choose a single elementary school and a single grade. So here I'm looking at the subjects for 15-16 math and literacy at a particular school. One of the things that you can do in dynamic reporting is if you hover over any certain chart segment, you'll see that I get a little tip, and it tells me what percent, which is the number on the chart, but it also tells me how many students are in that particular group. So I've got 20 students I've got 34 students here, I've got 14 here, and I've got 5 here. But if I right-click on that chart, so the next question is, well, if I've got here 20 students that are in my standard not met group, well, the next question obviously is, well, who are the students? So if I right-click on this, I can get a quick list of that particular group. Is who are the 20 students that make up that group? And should come back here in a second. The pupil reports take just a bit longer to come back. So we'll hang here for a second. Again, I want to encourage you, if you've got any questions, okay, this always happens during the presentation, I apologize. This Smart Balance data are new, and we're just starting to get them in, and we haven't got all the stuff ironed out for the preliminary data that's there. But believe me, that will be taken care of, and we can show you a few pupil reports in a different environment here. But point is you can, from the dynamic reporting screen, right-click and get a collection of students. Let me see if there was anything on my thing here. Charts update instantly. Again, sample reports booklets. You can go look at our gallery on the website, or you can ask us to send you an actual copy of the PDF file that has all of the sample reports booklets so you can get an idea. Do want to show you one more quick thing before we leave here. We do cohort reports that allow you to look at grades, the progression of students. If I look here and I look at grade 5 and I choose a cohort, what this is going to show me, instead of the 4th graders in 2015 versus the 4th graders in 2016, which are clearly different sets of students, this is going to show you roughly the same set of students. And here I've got grade 4 in 2016, but it's comparing it to grade 3 in 2015. So depending on the mobility in your group, this is essentially the same group of students. We also can do longitudinally mapped matches, so you have exactly the same set of students that were into your district in both years. So this is a cohort, generally the same group of students, 1,843 here and 1,876 in the second year. And so you can see that that group as a whole has had some pretty good improvement in ELA, but maybe less so in math. Did not quite perform as well as a group in grade 4 that they did in grade 3. Okay, on to batch reporting. Batch reporting is really where the power of Mars is, and I am keeping track of the clock, and I'm going to start moving a little bit faster so that we do have time for questions at the end. For batch reporting is the ability to take these reports that we were able to do ad hoc and take a look at, but let's say you've got a report and you want that report for each school, or each grade level at each school, or each teacher at each grade level at each school. Rather than have to go through and create the report and hit the print and save button to a PDF file and then manage the PDF files yourself, Mars can do the work of iterating through all of these entities and put the reports for you and put them out in the report queue, where we'll see later. It does the work behind the scenes, creates the PDF files for all of the entities that you selected, and you can go fetch them, or if your administrators or teachers have accounts on the Mars system, they can be in a repository where all they have to do is log in and grab the report. We do have modes of user types for Mars, where if you're a teacher or a principal, that we can, depending on the administrator's choice, we can hide the dynamic reporting in the batch reporting screen so that the person can log in, and they can't create the reports. All they have to do is log in, and they've got a queue, which we'll get to show you essentially reports that have been pre-created for them in our PDFs. They just log in, click on the report, and boom, it's there. So for batch reporting, let's say I want to go to Smarter Balance, and let's say I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do some school-wide reports, summary results, and we've gone through here. We can do claim performance as well, and I didn't show you that on the last screen, but the claims are available for the various entities just as well as the achievement level. You just have to choose the different report. So we'll go ahead and choose achievement levels. Let's say I'm going to, again, I've got my JUX, I'm going to compare. Let's say I want to compare years and subjects, but I want years to be on the secondary side, so they're being compared side by side. I'm going to choose this. Now what I can do is I've got a whole list of schools here. I click the A button, that says I'm going to choose all the schools. But I have a choice here. I can put all those schools together, which gives me a district-wide report, or I can report each of those schools independently. And Mars will having selected each of these reports here, it will automatically create a report for each of those schools. We can break it down by teachers as well, but we're going to say all teachers, so a school-wide report. We're going to choose the grades, but let's say each grade. So what this is going to do is give me now, for each school, it's going to give me a report, for example, for Bozeman Elementary, 3rd grade, Bozeman Elementary, 4th grade, Bozeman Elementary, 5th grade. The system is smart enough to know that the elementary school does not have middle school grades. It'll figure it out. When I get to a middle school, it'll grab the grades 6, 7, 8 and produce those reports. So what I've done here is I've made a list, a to-do list for the computer to say, for each of these schools and each grade level at each of those schools, produce a report. That's all I got to do. And it's not going to show them to me. Clearly there are too many reports for me to look at on screen. It's going to create the PDFs. Depending on the audience for these reports, if it's going to be a district person, I can put all of these together into one big PDF file that can be viewed or printed at the district level. But if the audience of the report is going to be the site administrators, I'm going to go ahead and say I don't want one PDF file. I want a PDF file that is specific to each school so that I can distribute that PDF electronically to those audiences. To do that, all I do here is set my breakpoint. I'm going to get the same content, but instead of getting one PDF file, I'm going to get 20 or 25 PDF files broken up clearly by school. If I want to break it up by grade, I can do that as well. And if I want those reports to be available online through the report queue to those audiences, I can hit the share button. And the share, again, is role-based. People can see what they're entitled to see only. So we'll go ahead and do that. We also can use the same items over here to do subgroup reports. I'm going to go ahead and now submit that batch. So it's building the to-do list now. And we'll show you real quick. It's done. It's created the to-do list. It is now building the reports. So I'm going to move over to the report queue right now and show you what it just created. And right here you can see that some of the lines are blue. That means that those reports are already completed and ready to be viewed. The system is going through one at a time, but here's the list of things that I've created. Through those few clicks, I created a report or an instruction to build a report for each grade level at each school. So I don't know how many reports are here, but it looks like several dozen anyway, with a few clicks. And you can see that they're going to be done pretty quickly here. It's putting them together. So let's go ahead and click on one. Let's say Bozeman Elementary Grade 4. I click on the link, and here is that report. So I've got my ELA and my math, boom, all right here. Again, that can be distributed to the people. To give you an example of what the queue would look like, the role-based permissions, I'm a district evaluator here, so I can see everything. But a simulation of what it would look like for the principal of Bozeman Elementary, I'm going to go ahead and add a filter here. And you'll see this is what is there for Bozeman, and when that administrator logs in, this is the list that that administrator would see. They would not see the other reports. Just to go back a little bit again, I'm going to show you really the power to say if you're doing teacher-based reports and you're doing pupil reports, let's go back here and I'm going to choose a pupil report, a list. We're going to get 2 years of data. We're going to say we're going to choose our rosters which have our teacher information for each teacher, for each school, for each teacher. And you don't get a list of teachers here because the list is ambiguous when I've chosen multiple schools. If I choose a single school, you'll see that the teacher list is there. But the complete list is implied if I choose a collection of schools. So for each school, for each teacher, for each grade, and both subjects for multiple years, I want to create a student list. You can see that with a district size of 11,000, that's going to be a lot of reports. So how do I want these distributed? Well, I can distribute them to the school so that all the teachers in school are in one PDF, or I can do it by teacher. And I can do it by grade as well, so that each of the files is broken up separately. So I'm going to go ahead and submit this now. And you will see it takes a little while because I think I'm creating about 700 or 800 different reports here in my to-do list. So Mars is very, very powerful to let you get that collection of reports for yourself at the high level, and for actually generating the PDF content that can be electronically delivered to your sites and to your teachers. Let's flip over the report queue. I'm going to filter this right now just to look at the pupil reports. And you can see here the pupil reports that I just queued up is a very long list for each teacher at each grade level at each school. Very long list of reports here, all with a few clicks to get those available to you. Probably the quickest system in the market to be able to help you distribute your reports. So that's the power of the batch reporting, to let you know, and the report queue and how to manage. Anytime, if you're a higher level person, you can filter, like I said, by school. I can filter by grade. I can look at summary reports, pupil reports, district-wide reports. I have a lot of tools here to be able to, once you get 100, 300, 1,000 different reports in your queue, it might get a little bit tough to manage. You can use filters to say, I want to see the things that were just created starting today. Is today the 2nd or the 3rd? There we go. Okay, so just stuff that was created today. So very, very powerful tool. From within the queue, you also have the ability, if your audiences aren't going to have accounts and log in themselves, you have the ability to select the items. You can email the items directly through Mars. If they have an account on Mars, you can simply notify them that those are there and available for them to look at. You can download them to your own system, and you can share or unshare. As the author, you can choose whether those are visible to other people or not. So if I wanted to bring these files down to my own computer and print them, it's as simple as clicking the download button. It'll create a download and save it on your computer. So we've kind of gone over that stuff. I want to now flip back to our presentation here. Dynamic reporting, batch reporting, report queue. And I want to make sure that all of you know that we do offer a free trial. You can do this with fictitious data like we just viewed today, and you can peruse around and get used to using the system yourself. There is no cost, no risk. As a first-time customer, you're entitled to 50% discount pricing. In general, our pricing is $1 per student for statewide reporting, and you can add on various benchmark reporting at very low cost. But for first-year user right now, 50 cents per student in your district, and you get all of these tools. If you want a little bit more in terms of a personalized presentation on how Mars works, just ask us. And again, you can see more reports at multiplemeasures.com, report gallery, and here's our contact information. I'll go ahead and leave that up right there. So this is basically the presentation. We're almost out of our hour, but we've got about 10 minutes left. And so I want to, if you have already sent any questions that you've got to Shelley, I think we're going to go ahead and see if we can answer some of those questions right now. So Shelley, are you with us?
I am, Craig. It doesn't look like we have any questions now. Did you want to leave the floor open, or did you want to conclude this webinar? And if somebody has a question, I'd be happy to forward them on to you, Craig.
If we could leave it open. If anybody's got any questions now that maybe they were deferring their question to the end, please use the chat button and send anything to Shelley right now. And we've got about a few minutes to answer a few questions, both about what we offer and how we do it. So if anybody's got anything, speak up, but know that you can contact us through the contact page, or you can go ahead and forward that question to Shelley, and she'll make sure to get it to us, and we can get back in touch with you. So we'll give you a couple of minutes. I could sit here and not talk for a couple minutes because I've been talking for about 40 or 50, or I could keep talking, but we'll just see if there's any questions, any confusion, any, can Mars do X, Y, or Z, or how would I do this, or I've got a special situation. I believe that we can address just about anything. We can give you a whole variety of reports for different audiences very quickly for all of the tests that you guys administer. Again, if you haven't already, we've got handouts here. Please download those handouts so you can refer later. And the webinar will be recorded, and I'm not sure. Shelley, do you guys post that on your site as well as deliver that file to me?
I don't post it on our website. What I do, Craig, is I upload it onto YouTube, and once the link becomes available, which is usually within the hour, I forward those to all the attendees and the presenter for future reference.
Okay, wonderful. So anybody who has maybe wants to show this presentation that wasn't able to join us today, that wants to see that presentation later, there will be a media file, and so they can go ahead and pretend they were here and watch this at their own leisure.
Okay, Craig, I don't have any questions. I'd like to go ahead and stop the webinar. I appreciate you taking time out today, Craig, to present this webinar. For all of you out there, make sure you visit ssda.org/events. We have several events that are coming up throughout the summer, and you might not want to miss that. So, Craig, again, thank you. Thank you to everybody that has attended this webinar. If you have any questions, you can either reach out to myself or to Craig. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, everybody, for attending. We appreciate it.